Well, welcome back to Super Tuesday Recap. This is your host, Chris and D-Palm here. And normally when we do Super Tuesday Recap, we record them in the order that we watch these shows, or the order they at least they air. And so that means it's Wednesday and Legend of Tomorrow is back. It's finishing up its season. And The Flash is also back from break, which means we normally record Flash after Legend of Tomorrow. But we decided to record The Flash first because, I feel like you have to let Devoe go last. So here we are.
Devoe loves you, man.
Yeah, it's just, Devoe with love and hungry for some. Anyway, we're here to do The Flash, Null and Annoyed, which is, I feel like, a very good title for this episode. Season 4, episode 17. Barry and Ralph try to find the remaining best bus metas before Devoe gets to them. However, Ralph's attitude frustrates Barry and the class over what it means to be a hero. Meanwhile, Breacher returns to ask Cisco for a favor. This episode is directed by Kevin Smith. He came back. He's actually also in the episode for a quick cameo.
That puts the Arrowverse in the View universe, for the record.
Technically, yes.
It does. I'm just saying.
So here's a weird thing. So we've talked about this a while. And I had a bad feeling about this episode when I saw there was going to be some Devoe stuff in it, because I feel like the Devoe stuff has been the drag. I'm going to say something that I think might catch people off guard here. The Devoe stuff is the most interesting thing to me this episode.
Well, yeah, I think the Devoe stuff is where, like, for the first time we've ratcheted the villain up into, like, something that's really kind of, we've gone from, like, this is a scary old man in a chair to this is a scary girl in a chair to now it's like, wow, that's pretty, you're a horror villain. Congratulations.
You literally are drugging your wife and not only just drugging her, but then making her forget that she knows that you are drugging her and basically making her do the same thing over and over. Like that last scene where they literally replayed the beginning scene again.
David, look.
I was like, oh, this is evil. Oh, this is
evil shit.
This is evil as shit. Like, but it goes to what you were saying. It's like, it's one of the few times where I've actually gone like, oh, Devoe's evil. And because at one point I couldn't figure out what it was. Because at first I was like,
it's hard to feel like anything but like that inherent like conditioned sympathy.
Well, it's that, but also so the beginning of the episode when the wife is there and Devoe's talking to her, and he says that there's only two metas, and then she reminds him, no, there's three. You're like, oh, maybe Devoe's mind is slipping. Maybe Devoe, like I get all those ideas that maybe Devoe is drunk on his own power and he's losing. Like you get this sense that something's wrong with Devoe because he's forgetting things. Like he's letting his guard down. He's slipping. Then when you see that he's drugging her, it's like, oh, she found out he's drugging her. You kind of have in your mind how this is gonna work out. And then she flips it on and goes like, oh, no. I'm using Weeper to... I already have the other third meta, and I'm using them to drug you because I already knew you would turn on me. And I'm just like, okay, this turned into a horror show now. Like, now, this is spousal abuse. And...
Back away slowly.
Yeah.
Everyone, back away slowly. We'll be fine.
Yeah. That is... Like, when she was like, yeah, new lemonade recipe, and it came up already there, I was like, oh, this is bad. This is not good. But like I said, it's one of the first times that I think in a while that I felt that the threat of Devoe was shown, not told to us, right? Like,
did you think she was going to find a file existing? That caught me literally off guard.
No, I didn't. I didn't think it. I thought she would. I knew that Devoe would probably figure out that she was doing it. But when it said that, so here's the thing: when she found the other, when first it caught me off guard when it found the other recipe, and I was like, all right, cool, and I was still okay with. I was like, okay, that's a nice little twist and everything like that. But we know what did it for me when she asked Devoe, how many times have you done this to me, and couldn't get a straight answer.
No, he never answered. I was like, that's a basic.
He was basically like, Marlize was like, yeah, so how many times have you done this? She's like, enough. And then here's the other thing too that got me. It's almost like she's stuck in a time loop, because how many times has she done this? Because the chair, the upgrade to the chair isn't done. And she keeps saying that the upgrade to the chair is only going to take an hour. She said at the beginning of the episode, and then at the end of the episode, she said again, she's like, oh yeah, this will take me an hour to get done. So how many times has she started? Because again, you're starting to think that maybe Devoe had been the one that works on the chair, and then you find out that no, the designs have always been Marlize. She just never gets to finish them because she always finds out.
She's too smart to finish the chair before she figures out she's been trapped.
Right. And so they keep going to this fucking loop of doing this. Like, it's it's weird because it's not a time loop, but then it kind of is a time loop. And it's fucking frightening. So, yeah, that to me, again, it was one of the first times that I feel like the Devoe section of, you know what it reminded me? It reminded me of the episode where we find out Devoe's origin story. We find out what happened to him. Like, it was up in there in terms of being compelling. And that's been a while for me for that and the Devoe stuff.
Well, not just that Devoe stuff. This is the first time because last season, I'm sorry, Savitar missed. This is the first compelling villain we've had in a year and a half.
Yeah, I'll give it to you. Yeah. Yeah.
Since Zoom, we just figured out Zoom was Zoom.
Mm-hmm. No, I'll give it to you on that one. Yeah. I mean, we still don't know. I'm still a little nervous that we don't know what the end goal is, what the end plan here is. But again, that right there showing, and again, it kind of goes to what we said before. I think we said this a few episodes ago when we were reviewing a few episodes ago. It's been a while since we reviewed The Flash, but you guys know what we're saying. Where, Barry's team is coming closer and closer together, and you're seeing that Devoe is coming, and Devoe and Marlize are coming so far apart that he has to now drug his wife to get her loyalty. Whereas Barry is earning the loyalty of the team around him, and somehow that's going to be the answer of how to beat Devoe. Could Devoe be left alone with nobody or having turned on everybody he can? And if you think about it in a meta sense of it, he's making these metas and then assimilating them because he can't have them do it of their own free will. He has to literally assimilate them into himself and force people to do whatever he wants to do. Whereas we're gonna find out that Barry's able to get where he needs to get because they went about it in a roundabout way this episode with it. But even like with Ralph, it's like you letting people be themselves to still help you, And I guess that's the overarching theme they were going for this episode and probably for the season. And so yeah. So I mean, again, I get the overall themes here.
And the thing is, I don't know. I like this episode the more I'm thinking about it. I think as I step back from the episode, I like it more because the breacher stuff, it doesn't always land. But in the end, it was 1 hour long erectile dysfunction joke.
Right.
Like down to little blue pills.
Yeah.
And the Ralph stuff, as someone who masks uncomfortable situations through humor, I appreciated that.
So here's the thing.
I do that shit. Like, that's me.
Yeah, I think they cleaned up
it up.
Yeah, they cleaned the Ralph stuff up at the end because it definitely was annoying, and I'm glad they did because if they hadn't cleaned it up at the end, I would have been way more turned off by this episode than I actually am because I literally have in my note just like this feels like a step back for Ralph, and
until you get the explanation.
And even with the explanation, it's like, okay, but I feel like we keep doing this. Like, okay, like so even if it's not about Ralph growing, the rest of the fucking team should have then. The rest of the team should have had this conversation about this is how Ralph deals with things because I feel like Ralph has. I don't know. I gotta feel like we've done this before with him.
I think part of that was Barry's individual inability to accept it.
True.
Like even Iris was like, "Yo, this is how he gets down. This is how he works. Let's just let him work."
Right.
And Barry's like, "Nah, dog. That's not how Barry Allen works." Hey, biggest problem with the episode, and I know this is a little off topic. Sorry. I need the suit in the ring. The fact that he figured out what to do, ran away from Iris and Ralph to the mannequin, and then left. The first time it became like blindingly infuriating.
I think it's the first time. You know why? You want to know why? I think it's the first time they've ever showed us him do that.
Like he had to go, because normally like he's in one part of the room and can grab it on his way out.
Right.
This motherfucker had to go. I was just like, look, this is getting ridiculous. I'm sorry. Wear under your clothes like Spider-Man or something. Figure something out. There's got to be a better plan than a mannequin.
Shit, even Curtis last episode was wearing it under his
Yo, look. I'm the Flash. I don't need to always be ready. Motherfucker, yes, you do.
You ain't got a job, Barry. You ain't got no job. You might as well. Like,
yeah, I know. You and I always like, where are the condoms on what's that? Issa Rae show.
Oh yeah, on Insecure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, look. So I shouldn't even say this, but it did cross my mind now that you say this. Barry's unemployed. Iris is unemployed. Can we have that conversation?
There's a lot of unemployed people here. Like,
we have the Allens fighting about bills.
Well, apparently, Alan is still resting on that nest egg that Wells left him like 4 fucking years ago. Like, you know what? Oh fuck! I guess we're going to do this. All right, so
no, we should. No, the thing is, we really shouldn't, because this is an unfun way to look at a show that's supposed to be fun.
You're right.
And a show that gave us an hour, literally, of one dick joke with Breacher.
Right.
Like, and that for all like the over the topness of Ralph, the reason I appreciate the character, this show is fun.
Say it again.
The show is supposed to be fun.
Yeah.
The Flash is supposed to be the lighthearted one that makes you smile. And Barry did it for a while at the beginning of the season, but he's back to Dour Barry.
Yeah,
I think this was kind of an episode where they're like, Dour Barry sucks.
Yeah. It's one of the we are missing. You know, we're missing that. And it happens. I feel like it happens every episode, every season, where Barry just becomes more dour and dour, and it's just like, come on, dude.
But I think the fact that, like, I think if they can come out of this episode with Ralph having lightened up Barry some, I'll be very happy with that.
Yeah,
I don't think that's what we're going to get because CW and angst sells, but I'd really appreciate like a lighter touch. Like we talked about this, we're going to talk about this in a second. We've talked about it before. Wally's such a better fit on Legends because it's not a dour show,
right? And you can get some serious.
We'll get to the serious,
right?
But he fits. He's flourishing in that atmosphere with those lines, with those plot lines, because it's not. Well, if we're not fast enough, everyone dies. Not everyone. Are you sure? Well, your sister. Oh shit! Like, come on, man.
All right.
I don't know.
No, you're right. You're right.
And I know people are going to say, "Oh, I'm irritated about." Or Ralph's annoying. He is annoying, but he's annoying because he's juxtaposed against this dour fucking show. Which, by the way, the only dour aspects this week were Barry, who was dour for a story purpose, so bravo on that. And Wells, who's not dour, but like manic dour. We're going to talk about that later. Mm-hmm. And the Devoes, which was supposed to be creepy.
Yeah,
so, as I keep saying, the more I talk about and think about this episode, the more I like it because it wasn't as dour as I thought it was.
Yeah, it's not. To me, it wasn't even the dour. Again, like I said, it's just one of those. I'm not a Ralph person, and I think that's the other problem too. I think they bungled the way they introduced Ralph to the rest of the audiences, and so it's hard to bring him back, and it's hard to get people who weren't in on Ralph before to now be back in on him. And like I said, to me, he doesn't bother me as much. This episode did because it felt like, actually, you know what? I know what it is. Here's where the problem with Ralph is for me, and it's not that. It's the consistency with it, because remember, before this, I want to say the last 2 episodes before this. I know it's hard because we've been on break. The last 2 episodes before this, Ralph wasn't acting this way. So Ralph's way of acting and dealing with stuff was to actually be dour Ralph. You know, remember I think the last episode was the last episode. The one before that was the one where I think it was the one before this was the one where what's her name died? Fiddler, she died,
Yep.
and Ralph is literally like, you know, almost crying about this.
I think isn't that also the episode where they kind of realized that he's coming for Ralph next. So, like, and I see what you're saying that we kind of look a little more past towards serious Ralph. But I'm glad that we kind of backtracked because we're dealing with the fact that I think we talked about this last time is that no one's talking about that Ralph's a target.
Yeah, you know, you're absolutely right.
And now, this is an emotional reaction to being like I would be scared too.
Okay, so here's what it was. So no, I know what it is.
It's hard to remember.
I know what it is. Okay, so subject 9 was the episode where Ralph is basically where they lose Fiddler, right? So that was 3 episodes ago. What happens the next 2 episodes is we don't even see Ralph because in Enter the Flash Time, which was a great episode, Ralph isn't there. And then in the last episode, Run Irish Run, I want to say that's the one where Ralph basically locked him. Was that the one he was locked? He basically locked himself in the room, and you didn't see him. And so when you bring Ralph, so that's what it was. That's what it is for me. It's not even that it's his behavior and what he did in this episode. Like if you look at it in a box itself, it's fine. The problem is they shelved him for basically 3 episodes, or actually, not really 3, like 2.5.
Well, it was the 2 going into the break,
right? You showed him going, and then you bring him back, and he's and basically it's kind of a Ralph and Barry episode. And it just feels it's jarring, and I think
for
that
it makes more sense, like having the timeline spread out like that.
Right,
it almost works better for me, mm-hmm. because we never saw the fallout of this realization that he's a target.
True.
Like he's never I think you and I would rightfully take him to task if they never addressed it.
Mm-hmm.
If they just said if they lampshaded and said Ralph's a target, let's move on. You and I'd be like, wait a second, like that's a guy's gone from being a selfish prick to being somewhat of a hero to being told that he's literally a target and never addressed.
Right.
I think it works better. Like I think it'll work better. And I know I say this a lot about these shows sometimes, but because it's serialized storytelling, it's just like a comic book. Some issues are gonna be better when placed in context of other issues.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. I think some
of the editing and like airing choices they've made has been weird.
I think that's what it is for me. I think that it's like there are certain, and I think it just works that way. I think there were certain elements that they're not doing Ralph any favor. I'll put it that way, because it's not like Ralph's behavior isn't, now that I think about it, isn't too out of character. It makes sense, but when you think about the lead up to it and what they've done with him before, where you literally had him, you know, I think it was literally asking him, "You're gonna come out of the basement, Ralph?" "No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm staying in the basement." It's just like now you got him cracking jokes and not taking anything seriously, like to the point of like, dude, you need to shut the. You're being an asshole. Like what are you doing?
I think that's what makes the Act 3 reveal work.
Right.
And
I
again, think if the Act 3 reveal doesn't happen, we're having a much different conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, to me, this is me saying where, and because I also think that I think shows have to be careful because sometimes that reveal isn't enough to change people's opinion. Like for me, that reveal literally made, like I had a bunch of like way angrier notes about Ralph this episode, and then that reveal made me feel a little bit better. But I think that shows have to be careful because everybody might not be as forgiving as me. Everybody now need to go, okay, you know what? I'm okay with that. It's fine. Because literally it was really, really thick early on to the point of like, Ralph, you were literally fucking things up. You know, like it's one thing to not take things seriously and to be laissez-faire, but like
again, you and I do this a lot. People have to fuck things up for the show to exist.
Oh no. Well, yeah, but I can still.
We can't get mad at them for following the rules of the form.
Well, no. I think there's a way to do it so that Barry still gets Barry still being dour and still being upset and not showing Ralph be like this dumb at some points. I don't know. But again, it's not that important. But like, I definitely think that I think in the larger context though, when you look at if you take this entire season so far and you took it like puzzle pieces, we could make a better season using just the pieces on the board without having to add anything.
I think we can reorder like the major, like of course some of the mythos stuff has to happen in each episode, but like you can reorder these major events in a way that makes all the characters more appealing.
And I think that's the problem. It's like you have some good pieces here that can work. They're just not putting them together in the right order to make them work that well. Especially when like I said, it's. Again, I think you were always going to have a problem, particularly when you came off of the 2 episodes that didn't have Devoe in them. You come back with episode 10, 15, you have to start doing Devoe stuff. Like every episode going forward has to basically involve Devoe because we're coming up on that end. But those 2 episodes beforehand didn't really involve him, or maybe they did. We'll see if they tie those in there. But they didn't. I don't know. I feel like those episodes might have worked better early. I don't know. Well. We've talked about this enough about that, but some other stuff I had in here. Let's see. So I guess we never really done a good job of explaining the vibe powers, because I guess so because he's still vibing because he can breach.
I really would just like. I'm gonna do this to a lot of our listeners. If you're not a comic person, stop things just don't make sense. We're dealing with fake science. Like I mean, I got nothing for you. There's no answer. There's no answer.
Yeah, no, because I literally it took me a while. It took me like 3 times before I realized. I was like, wait a minute. If his powers don't work, how is he opening breaches to go to other? Fuck. We're doing comic book science. Okay, all right. I mean, again, this is not like a bad thing for me in this episode. It's not a major thing. It's just one of the things I noticed was going like, so if you, wait, so.
You know what? I would say this. One is manipulating the energies to travel to universes, and one is utilizing that same energy to in a concussive burst.
No, and that's why I put it as. That's kind of how I.
Like, I mean, I've read enough comics. I can do this. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna think way too hard about it, it's just comic science. Yeah, no,
that's kind of how I assumed. I was like, well, he can still do the breaching. He just can't. He can't project
breaching. Because if you remember with Cisco, breaching is the actual power.
Right.
It's the ability to manipulate it afterwards that makes you do the other shit.
Right.
But the power is travel.
Right. So, I thought maybe that I kind of like I said.
That makes sense for me. I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's one of those things I just kind of looked at him and just like, oh, fuck it. I guess I'm not even gonna worry about it.
I had that moment. I was like, but is it all right?
Yeah. I got caught. I was like, because when he showed up to go against a vampire, by the way.
When he got there in the first place, he's like, my powers aren't working. Like, but how would you get?
What are we doing?
Like, but you just
right. I'm like, I'll allow it. Like I was like, there's bigger fish to fry. I'm
like, you know what? They're gonna think this is an hour long dick joke. I'll let it ride.
Yeah, it's fine. You know, we're gonna have Cisco dealing with his girlfriend's father and lying to him that he has his power. Like when he actually shot his powers afterwards to make it seem like Breacher did it.
The vibes, they change colors.
Yeah. And Caitlin's entire time you can just tell Caitlin's just shaking her head going, dude, you're making it worse. You just
tell him.
I don't, and by the way, because she says at the end, she's like, you did the right thing, Cisco. And I'm like, no, he didn't actually. He never did the right thing. Cisco never did the right thing. He did every wrong thing you could think of in this episode. What are you talking about? He did the right thing. When?
No, see, she didn't. You let her finish. You did the right thing when you'd exhausted literally every other option. When you'd done everything else wrong as possible, then you did the right thing. That was it was lost. It got cut in the editing.
Right.
The show's only so long.
Right.
You know, they can't get everything in.
I was just like, what are we doing
The
here?
second
Like,
half of that sentence didn't make show.
right.
For my purposes, it was said.
So there was that. Have you never looked in a mirror before? I'm not a teenage girl. Like, oh, okay.
Which there are men who are like that.
Yes. You know what? Danny Trejo looks like a man who would say that.
Danny Trejo is not like that because Danny Trejo's. But there are men who look like Danny Trejo or who are of similar build and disposition who would have that reaction to ask you to look in the mirror.
Yes. What was I going to say? There was another little just like thing that didn't make any sense to me. How the fuck did they even catch Null? Because the first time when Barry goes to get her, she has the getaway car, right? And she picks the lock, right?
Okay.
So the second time, Ralph puts the cuffs on her feet, means her hands are free, and then he has to turn his back on her to go catch Barry, who is falling out of the sky.
That's correct.
Why didn't she pick the lock again?
She got a trick knee. She can't reach down there.
Okay.
What do you want from me? I didn't read it.
I kind of just... It was just one of those things like that was... Again...
I think I said all out. Who's watching Null?
It made no sense. Because literally the first... It's no different than... If you think about it, it's no different than the first time she was caught.
It's way easier to reach your ankles.
Right. Her hands are free this time. The first time...
and do it.
And look, here's the thing. The first time, she was up against the speedster. This time, she's up against slow-ass Ralph, who's literally watching Barry fall down and makes himself into a giant whoopee cushion.
Okay, so Barry can't do the arm thing anymore where he flies?
Mm-hmm.
What, we've forgotten this?
Mm-hmm. I wasn't even going to go there.
For the record, I enjoy shit like this because... The fact that the Flashes are useless when they've been thrown in the air is a great comic trope. Like, there's one time when Wally's fighting, I think, Girder, and he gets knocked in the air. He says, okay, this sucks. I am going to have to fall until my feet can touch something. Thank God. And then he starts running again. But, so I like the lack of control Speedster has, when they're falling or flying. But, if he's falling from that high, you've got time to get your arms moving, my dude. Let's do I've seen this show.
Like I said, it's the
well, because if you step back again, well-structured episode, did what it had to do, kind of fun.
Yeah,
too close. You're like, wait a second.
Yeah, I mean, you got to squint. As long as you squint.
Yeah.
As long as you
squint. Just don't get too close.
Right. Don't put your glasses on.
We want to see details.
Just look at the pretty pictures and be fine with it.
Picture. And that's a Where's Waldo? No, don't look for Waldo. Don't look that close.
Right,
just look at the composition of the picture.
It's like that episode of Bob's Burgers where they find out that the entire roller coaster at the wharf, it's not screwed in. And you're like,
oh yeah.
He's like, yeah. Don't look too far. Don't look too hard. What are you doing here? Oh man. Let's see. I had that there. Boom. And so the other thing too is they keep saying. So it goes back to what we were saying about Ralph, being another one of the best bus metas. They keep saying there were only 3. So it's almost like they're not counting Ralph because they say Weeper, the one that he's using to drug his wife. Null, they're the one they capture, and there's one more.
Ralph's the last one because his body doesn't break down.
Well, I know he's the last one, but I thought there was one more. Unless I wait, no, I guess it's the one they captured last.
Yeah, they got one who's working for them now.
Right. I thought they were still going after one more, so maybe I'm wrong on that one. I didn't think they were counting Ralph in that 3, and I was like, wait, so are they not counting Ralph? Or are they just assuming that they?
They had 1, 2, and then Ralph, and then at the end she has 2 left.
Okay.
The other one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Right.
I did that math for a second too. I was like, wait a second.
Okay,
but then I realized that I wasn't counting the guy they had captured.
Okay. Yeah. I had to make sure on that one. I guess we end with Wells.
Thawne?
I don't know. Like, no.
And the thing is, I think that the helmet increases intelligence enough to say they go to the future tech to get some answers. But I like the idea that they're playing with our preconception.
Yeah.
I like that they gave us that moment. It's I'd be, ooh, have we seen Thawne this year? He shows up once a year.
Yeah, and
not yet.
No, we have not.
This could be the beginning of our Thawne.
Well,
our Thawne
yeah, technically we have. Crossover.
What crossover? Oh, Matt Lancaster.
Yeah, Crisis on Earth X.
Okay, maybe not. I don't know. I just think it's always interesting. We go back to that. Anytime you can touch back to season 1, it's going to be interesting for me, particularly with the different variations on Wells we've seen since. It makes sense that Gideon would recognize him as Wells and call him Wells. Nothing is saying that the heel turns happened yet, but now we got to be nervous.
Anytime you get a Wells in that room.
Yeah. Is it the first time we've seen a Wells in that room since season 1?
I don't.
He may have been in there when they were hiding from Zoom. Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. And that's the other thing too. I think they're just playing with us.
Yeah, me too.
I think they're just playing with us. Just because again we get that sense of feeling about it. But who knows? We'll see. What's going on with that? So, I think that's it for the Flash. You got anything else?
No, that was it for me. Down the stretch run, I'm glad they finally showed us Devoe being terrifying. Even if they kind of forecast it earlier in the season that that's what he was doing to her, I'm glad that we got to see it in action.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the gaps really hurt this season.
No, that's the other thing too. So it's not just it might not even be that the season itself is planned out wrong. The gaps are. The breaks are not helpful at all. Because I feel like we went into break with 2 really strong episodes. Maybe even I can't remember how that other one was. That Subject 9 one was. But Inner Flash Time and Run Irish Run were 2 of probably the best episodes outside of the crossover this season for the show. So we went into the break pretty fucking strong. And so as the old saying goes, when things are going good, take a break. Right. And it
just like with Ironside or something.
Right. And I feel like if we hadn't taken that break, because it also felt like that break was weird. Because we didn't go into like a cliffhanger break. It didn't feel like we went into a break, right? It just, like when Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. goes into a break, it's like it goes into a break. Like we went into a break when they were going back home. That was a natural break, and you're like, okay, we need to decompress for a bit. You take that month off. Arrow went to a break after you did, and I feel like they came back from a break, did like 2 episodes, then went back into another break. And so it was just like, but this is something that happens with the CW shows all the time because of the way they time it out. And I feel like we've talked about this. I feel like we do this every season with them. And we end up finding out it's like, it's not technically their fault. It's the show's fault. It's the network. It's like you guys are fucking up your own show by taking these weird breaks because you're breaking up. You're breaking up the flow. You're breaking up the continuity of the show, and I feel like it goes back to we were saying if you were to watch these episodes back to back, I feel like the stuff with Ralph wouldn't have been as glaring at first, and would have felt more natural, you know? Because even like you said, I think one of the things that you mentioned, and it was mentioned in the show, and it kind of also reminded me that, okay, this does make sense. You know, when Iris basically tells Barry, it's like, well, yeah, when you were in jail, Ralph, this is what Ralph did. He became a hero. He did all this stuff. This is how he operates. This is how he does it. He can do this on his own. And you're like, shit, you know what? Because of the breaks, you kind of forget that.
Yeah, I'm so glad she said that. I was like, huh, she's right.
Yeah, it's like you forget that. It's like, so now you have to have a show that literally reminds us of what happened maybe like 5 episodes ago, because not because it's been so much going on, but because like you've taken so many breaks and it feels like it's been like 4 fucking months.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man, I really enjoyed some of the lines this episode. We can move to Washington to be the DC Comics.
I saw, yes. I just said, come on. Even that was too on the nose, Ralph.
No one's ever said DC Comics in the Arrowverse. No one ever has.
No, you're right.
Like that's like if during Infinity War someone has a plan and Tony Stark says, well, that's actually, and looks dead in the camera and says, marvelous. I'll be fine with it. I'll be fucking fine with it. I'm a cheesy motherfucker.
Oh, God. I tell you one thing. I better get my fucking Avengers assemble.
We're not getting that until 4, and you know that.
Okay, hey, at some point before these motherfuckers end their contracts.
You know that's the title, right?
That would be great.
It's the title. I mean, they haven't announced the title. They said they're not announcing the title until the theatrical run of 1 is done.
Oh, man, that would be great.
That's how you end it. Either that or fantastic, because, I mean, I'm greedy. But,
yeah, you're just being greedy.
Let's get out of here.
All right, folks. Again, make sure you sign up for the please do the user survey, listener survey in the show notes. Please, it takes 5-10 minutes. It'll really help us out. It'll give us some feedback. I know we've already gotten some good feedback. We're trying to work on some of the stuff in there now. It also gives us some key information about who our listeners are, so we can continue to bring you guys good content and hopefully use that to get sponsors and advertisers. So please fill out that user survey. It'll help us out tremendously. And again, check out our other sponsors, tweakedaudio.com. Put the code in reviews, get 30% off, free shipping and free lifetime warranty. Go to tweakedaudio.com and also stitcher.com/premium. Put the code in Tuesday and you get a free month of Stitcher Premium. So again, folks, thank you guys very much for listening. Until next time, we're out of here. Peace.